Yeah, don't be concerned you didn't go deaf, or deaf, not deaf, because yeah, there was no music this morning. I still need to figure that out when I'm doing this from the road or on the road. So good morning, welcome. Awesome to have you with us this morning. Quite an interesting topic I want to discuss today. And it's one that comes up so frequently that it's not even funny. So yeah, it's all about, which system is best. So a lot of stuff that I'm going to run through when it gets to that. So I'm definitely going to look at how do you choose the right system in the first place and which aspects to consider. I'm going to talk a little bit about what role does price play, because that is usually something that obviously people start with. So I want to talk about price. What is required for successful and seamless integration? We're going to talk about that and how to fully unlock the value offered by your system. And then ultimately, the last question I'll answer is, well, which system is best? So stick around. This is going to be interesting. I only managed to post today's session late last night, and already the response on LinkedIn has been crazy, to be honest and fair. So let's see how this goes. But anyway, so with that, let's start with the news. Mr. David Kopp is back with us this morning. So let's head over to the news studio.
Good morning, everyone, and Francois, good to see the show on the road again. So from the news studio today, we're going to start with two press releases issued by the Financial Sector Conduct Authority. And the first one has to deal with COVID-19 vaccines and life insurance. So it's been brought under the intention of the FSCA that there are inaccurate reports, particularly on social media platforms, which indicate that getting the COVID-19 vaccine will render life insurance policies null and void because the vaccines are regarded as experimental medicine. Now, it is in the view of the FSCA that such statements have no marital basis. Additionally, the FSCA believes that these unfounded statements are causing fear, anxiety, and uncertainty amongst the public. It is the expectation of the FSCA that taking the COVID-19 vaccine will not lead to cancellation of a policy or the repudiation of a claim. Should there be further questions or concerns on such statements, the FSCA then does refer the consumers either to their financial advisor or to the life insurance company. So again, they do indicate that it is a criminal offense to make any misleading statements. So don't share things like that on social media. Then the next press release from the FSCA involves the crypto assets. And there was a paper released by the Intergovernmental FinTech Working Group on 11 June through the Crypto Assets Regulatory Working Group with their position paper on how to bring crypto assets into the regulatory purview. So they will be focusing sort of on three areas in a phased and structured approach. So the anti-money laundering and combating of financial terrorism, cross-border financial flows, and the application of financial sector laws. Now, it must be reiterated, by bringing crypto assets into the regulatory stance, it doesn't mean that the regulators are endorsing crypto assets in any way, shape, or form. But it is clear that with the growing use of crypto assets, particularly amongst the retail space, that they cannot ignore this, and it needs to be brought under the regulatory review. Then from SARS, SARS has confirmed on the 11th of June that filing season for individuals will start on the 1st of July 2021. And to help prepare for the filing season, they have got some preparation guides and a toolkit to see if clients or yourself would actually need to file a tax return this year. In addition, their tax compliance and immigration, so the guide to tax compliance, has been updated with supporting documents required for when a family unit is immigrating. Then the last news item I want to bring to attention is a case in the Supreme Court of Appeals that was reported, which was Discovery versus Hogan. And essentially what happened here is a client instructed Discovery to cancel a life insurance policy. Discovery confirmed that, and within the cancellation period, the client also stopped the premium to ensure it didn't go through, and just happened to die within the period of cancellation. The executors then went to court and said that the person wasn't given the opportunity to pay the missed premium which they had stopped, and therefore the policy should still pay out. And the Supreme Court of Appeal actually held that because the person was quite clearly wanting to cancel the policy and stop the premium, It wasn't the fact that they had the 30 days to make it up. So again, Discovery versus Hogan, a very interesting case to go and read. And again, it highlights the things of when policies are being replaced to ensure that the cover is in place with the new insurer before cancellation of the old policy. Then, some useless facts for you for your dinner conversations. If I say to you, Jake the Jailbird, offer Edgar Mallory and Milburn penny bags, would you know who those people are? Well, I'm sure you would all know them. These are the names of the characters on Monopoly's board game. So next time you visit jail, you know you're visiting Jake the Jailbird. And when you land on the go to jail block, it is Officer Edgar Mallory who is sending you there. So thank you very much for that, Francois, and back to you in the studio.
Awesome. Is this like useless information that's not so useless? It's
Yeah.
amazing. Awesome stuff. Good stuff. Thank you very much, David. Hope you have a fantastic weekend. Appreciate your time. It's some interesting insights again this morning. So thank you very much. And thanks to the FPI as well for doing this for us every single Friday. And have a good one. We'll chat soon.
Thank you, you too, Francois, and the listeners.
Thanks a lot. Cheers. All right. So, yeah, next up is Norma. With the personal development, and this morning actually, and it's amazing, Norma, you and I didn't speak about this before the time, but it is something that I've been wondering about this week, specifically because I've been having a discussion with a couple of people, and we were talking about what we've previously discussed here on the four things that we yearn for, and I was wondering, what is the difference between happiness and joy? So really excited to hear your session this morning.
Good morning, and Francois, I'm glad we're on the same page today. So I'm talking about happiness, joy, and meaning. So the reason I chose this topic for this week is I read an article where they interviewed highly successful people, and the question they asked them was what do they most want from life? And their answer was happiness. So it just made me think that we put so much emphasis on happiness and we tend to forget the other aspects of our life, which really makes our life great. So let's just look at each one individually. So happiness is really that feeling good. It's an emotion. So it means that our thoughts create how we feel. So we can really create happiness. So it's not something that's out there. It's something that we can create within us. And as happiness is an emotion, so is sadness and anger and frustration. So it's not something that stays with us forever. It's happiness comes and goes, and things like sadness comes and goes, frustration comes and goes. So nothing has gone wrong if we are not happy 100% of the time. So life is good and bad, and we have all of this host of emotions that we can feel, positive and negative, and we can really embrace all of it and feel all of it. So if we say then that happiness is that destination, then we really attach an idea or experience or this destination we attach to happiness. So if we get to the goal or to the destination, then we can be happy. But if we don't get to the goal or the destination, then we won't be happy. So joy is also an emotion. So if happiness is that destination, then joy can really be this journey that we're on our way to our goal. So joy is then the milestones. So it's finding those little things in life that we can be joyous about. Gratitude is really joy in the little things. So we intentionally need to go and look at joyful things in our life, those small little things that we can be grateful for. The thing with joy is that it's also it can happen even if things doesn't go our way or things happen that is out of our control. So even if someone is, for instance, laid off at their job, then they can still experience joy. They might not be happy in the moment, but they can experience joy by maybe looking at all the memories that they've built at that company, or the amazing people that they've met, or the experience that they've gained while they were working there. Then Martin Seligman is a psychologist, and he says that meaning really comes from belonging to and serving something greater than ourselves and developing the best within us. So just to break that down quickly is that belonging to really refers to us valuing our relationships. The serving is our purpose. It's that we're here for a reason and that we are living for something. And then the developing is really that growing and learning that we're going throughout our life. So all of these aspects needs to be present for us to have a meaningful life. So the point that I'm really then trying to make is, instead of only using happiness as that sort of yardstick to determine if we have a great or amazing life, or even if we're not happy, saying that we have a miserable life, rather be looking at all aspects. And this list can actually be quite longer, but I've just chosen these three things. So we need happiness, yes. Happiness is that short bursts of pleasure that we experience on a regular basis. And we can have joy, which is finding the gratitude and finding the joy in the little things in life. And we can have meaning. That is the impact that we make, the contribution, the giving. So all of those things, these three things, can contribute to us having a fulfilled life, instead of only looking at that one aspect, which is happiness. So that's what I have for you today. Thank you so much, and I'll speak to you again next week.
Awesome stuff. Thank you very much, Norma. You must have a fantastic weekend. That was great, and I love how you hold your pose even when the dog starts barking. Like, nothing puts you off. So that's amazing. Well done. I'm very proud of you, and keep it up, eh?
Great. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Have a good week.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
All right, so that's how you do it. Right, so with that, let's get into this it's not a controversial topic, but it's definitely an exciting topic, and something that, everybody's asking and everybody's forever looking at. So, I will just set the scene before we start, and then we'll get into all the different aspects that I would like to discuss. All right, so let's first start off with, like, why do I think I have anything to say about this, I guess, in the first place? Well, since I think 2004, I've been working extensively with most of the different system providers, but particularly with financial advisors who've been implementing systems and using systems. And there's a few things that I've seen over the years, which I believe that, I have some unique views to offer, and things that I've seen, that what works and what doesn't work. And then the other thing that I also need to share with you is that I do work for one of the software providers at this point in time. So I am therefore obviously not going to go into specific systems, but I'm going to touch on a lot of things that you need to consider and think about. So I do want you to be aware of that as well. All right, so let's get started with this. I think it's appropriate to start at the beginning almost, to say, well, how do I choose the right system for my practice? That is extremely important, because it comes down to that choice. And what you want to do is, once you make this choice, it must be for the long term. You can't be chopping and changing systems all the time, because it is painful. It doesn't matter which system, where you are, where you're going to, where you're coming from. It does not matter. It is an extremely painful sort of thing to go through, and there's always something that can't be moved, or it can only be moved at a cost, or whatever that may be. So you really want to spend time when you need to choose a system. So where do you start? And this is going to be relevant. You're going to see why I'm starting with this. And even at the end, if you're using a system already, there's at some point where maybe you want to start over from the start and go through it. So I think it's important that we run through all of this. So the first thing is that you need to know what you need up front. And for that, you need to know your business inside and out. You need to involve your staff, get their input. Like, what is it that they're battling with? What are the things that they need to be able to do? Where are the opportunities to automate? Where are the opportunity to make things more efficient? And also then, what kind of things? So I'll give you an example. You may be using some other systems, for example, and you want to be able for all of these things to talk to each other. You need to know that is an important aspect for you. And therefore, you need to consider that, and then, based on that, ask certain questions when we come to the due diligence of the other system. And the thing is that most of the other systems, if not all of them, can in fact integrate with different systems, be it plug and play or be it with customization. I think all the system providers offer that because that is today's technology. That is what all tech stacks are built on. I think the days of everybody trying to be everything for everyone, just like there are certain systems that are just better in certain areas than others. There are certain CRMs that are more appropriate for certain situations. And it comes down to how well you know your business before adopting a system. That really makes the difference whether you're going to have some happiness, in the long run, or some joy, as we've just discussed. But I think the most important thing where I see where we can spend more time is on the due diligence side. So it's important to be able to not just rely on what others say. Sometimes everybody asks like which system, and everybody will vote for their own system that they're using. And it comes down to a popularity vote in the sense of that, but that doesn't mean that system is the right system for your business. You have to go through a process in order to determine whether that system will work for you or not. Because as I said, once you're in, it's painful to move. And in fact, I never profess anybody to move. I think it's better to just stay where you are and see how you use that system, unless you get to a point where you see that this is not going to work for you. But there's so many variables when it comes to systems that it's not just an easy decision, or just, you just get upset with somebody and then you want to cancel and then you want to move. It's not as simple as that. So it's really, this is like a marriage. You really got to do your homework up front when you choose the system. And not only do you need to know your business right now, I think what's also very important is where are you going? What do you want to do in future? And can the system adopt and change with you and grow with you and offer you the things that you want to do in the future? So maybe right now a system is a perfect fit and it's the right cost and it's all of those kind of things, but what about the next step and the next step? What are you going to do when you are going to get there? So on that, which aspects should you be considering? And I'm just going to apologize right now. I'm not going to get to the comments at the moment because I've only got one screen. I will get to the comments at the end, so I will answer some questions or comment on some comments. But you're all welcome to comment, please. You are more than welcome to do that. It's always interesting to see who shows up for these kind of sessions. Never see them in any other of the episodes. I'm seeing you guys, so it's cool. You're very welcome here. So which aspects must you consider? Well, first of all is what is your focus? And there's always there's sort of two aspects to any system. There's the practice management and compliance part, and then there's the financial planning part, or the investment planning, or retirement, or estate planning, whatever kind of financial planning you're doing. That's always the other side. So it's the practice management side, and there's the tool side. And we see so often, I've seen so often in my life where people only use the CRM bit. They don't use the tools for whatever reason. And that for me is sort of why? Because these things come bundled, most of them. Some allow you to do just the CRM, some allow you not to do that or don't allow you to do that. So it's depending on what you're looking for. I had a discussion with somebody the other day who's using completely a third-party CRM that's got nothing to do with financial services, and it's working for them, and they're very, very happy with it. So, it's do you understand what you want to do and what's important for you in your business? And then you look at it from these two perspectives to see, well, how are you going to do this? Is there that system? Eden asked last night, tongue-in-cheek, and Gareth was very quick to get onto that, and I also responded quite quickly to say, well, because Eden asked, did you find that one system, the one ring to rule them all? And I said, absolutely not, because it doesn't exist, right? So that will remain. I don't think, it doesn't matter what kind of software, even if you go to something like a Microsoft Office, there's things that they don't offer that you get somewhere else. And it's always this thing of there is just not one system that's going to fit everything in your business. And now the other thing that I see happen a lot is that so many advisors start developing their own systems to say, well, no, this doesn't work. Nothing works for me, so I'm going to develop my own system. And the reality is that you're not a software developer. Like you, me, we're not software developers. And it takes your focus away from what it is that you actually should be doing. And then ultimately they develop the system, usually at a cost or in partnership with someone. And then you get to that next point where now you need to, okay, so what are we going to do? We're going to sell this to other advisors because it's so fantastic for us. But again, that system does not fit everybody's needs. So again, you will never ever satisfy that thing of what is important to everybody. It will never fulfill all the needs. So it's important to understand your business and see which system covers most of what it is that you offer. But that's one of two of the things. The other thing I think which is important is engagement. Does the system make it easy for you to engage with clients? So either get communications from them or information from them, update information. Can you do it in real time? Is it like back and forth? How secure is it? All of those kind of things. So engagement, and it goes way beyond just sending information. It is actually about having a conversation and both being invested and engaged and busy with whatever it is that you're doing. So either it's helping them making a decision, understanding them deeper, the coaching process, whatever it is that you may be doing, is the system facilitating that, or has the system the ability to do that? And I'm going to get to something that we all need to consider as well a little bit later. So engagement is the other aspect which is very important. And then obviously things like support and training and track records and those kind of things, you have to go and look at it to consider. Many of the core systems in South Africa, the Big Four, has been around for years. They are established. You know that they're not going anywhere. And there's a lot of new kids on the block, which is great. And you also need to make sure as part of your due diligence that you know that once you go with this, that it's going to be there. And that's awesome. And I've seen many advisors starting to look at offshore kind of solutions as well. So there are quite a few that are also working very well for them. So it's like, do you know your client? Do you understand what they're looking for? Do you know at what level you need to engage with them? Do you understand the complexity around what it is that you need to do for them? And does your system then offer that, the system that you want to use? Can it do that? Or have you got this massive Rolls Royce and you only needed a nice Polo to help your clients out with? So that's more important. So those are some of the aspects that I feel is important to consider. Let me quickly jump into the comments maybe before I move on. So let's just see quickly. Nick says, I think the first step in choosing a system is to understand your business needs. Yep, there's no other way, Nick. You and I agree. As long as we understand that there is no perfect system and make peace with that, Charmaine, that is absolutely true, very important. So let's just see. Mel says, just like we fact find for our clients to find solutions, we need to do the same with our businesses. Good insight, thank you. Mel also says some of the providers don't market their own modules as they don't understand how they integrate into an advisor's practice. I'm going to get to some of that just shortly, because there's some things that are very important that I see is missing in the industry. And then Hendrik says, More Hendrik, Kobus agree, we need to remember our clients' needs, access to information, co-planning, etc. Because we're moving into a more complex environment, and specifically here in South Africa, things are not getting easier and more relaxed. It's getting more regulated and more complex. So how do we take some of that stuff out and just make it as easy as possible? All right, so let's move on so I don't run over time. What role does price play? This is extremely important for me because too often I see, like, when somebody contacts, well, even the company I work for, or when people have spoken to me in the past, even the discussions we had this week in PROpulsion Pro on the monthly member Q&A, some of the questions that were asked, one of the top questions were like, how does price compare? Are they all more or less the same? Are they like very different? And they are still very different. There's some people that want to believe that it is fairly the same. It's not. There's a big difference between from the lowest price to whatever you want at the top end. So you really need to consider pricing, but it's the last thing you should consider, not the first thing. If you lead with a question about, like, what does the system cost, you've already lost, because you're looking at it from a cost point of view, and you can't look at it as an expense. Because if you any technology that you're going to implement and that you're not going to use, and it's not going to make a difference to your business, that is an expense. And why would you incur an expense that's not necessary? So you want technology that's going to make your business better, more profitable. It's going to make business easier. It's going to make the lives of your clients easier. Hopefully it makes your life easier. So those are the things that you need to consider. So when it comes to price, I believe, like, the biggest mistake we make is starting there. That is definitely one of the considerations, because it is a cash flow impact on your business. But if you do it right and you have you choose the right solution for what it is that you want, and you do some of the other things I'm about to talk about, then that's a massive investment in your business. In other words, and the definition of an investment, I'm sure I don't have to explain that, but an investment is something that makes you money. It doesn't cost you money. And that's how you need to view it. So whether that system costs you 500 Rand or 5,000 Rand or 50,000 Rand for that matter, doesn't matter. It's like, what does it generate? And if it generates more than what it's costing you, it's an investment. But there is a way to unlock that, and some responsibilities that I believe lie with all of us when we do this. It doesn't matter what type of technology. Some of the things I'm going to share with you deals with all types of technology. So, it's definitely, as I said, the last aspect that you should consider. I don't say ignore it, because you can't. It's too important, but you definitely need to consider it. So what is required for successful and seamless integration? And when I talk about integration here, I'm not talking about connecting two systems to one another, because technically integration means I'm linking one system to another and they can talk to one another, so we integrate. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about integration into your business. So how do you make the system part and parcel of your business, the way you do business, your processes, all of those things needs to be part of that system. And that's what you need. The system is an enabler. It's all it is. It's a tool. It's something that makes something else happen. And you need to understand how it can help you do exactly that. So the very first thing that is required, if you want to implement any software, because here's the big thing. There is no drag and drop solution. If you think that you're going to go out to any of the software providers in South Africa and you go and say, I want to sign up, and here's my form, and I sign the agreement, and there's my debit order, and then tomorrow morning you get your login details, and there you go, it doesn't work like that. It does not work like that. Like a car, you can go and purchase a car, but if you don't put petrol in, you don't actually start the engine, and you learn to drive that car will stand there and mean absolutely nothing. So this is where it comes in, that there's commitment required, there's effort required, and there is patience required, because it is a process to implement any piece of technology into your business properly. So that for me is extremely important. So what are some of the things that you need to do when we talk about commitment, effort, and patience? Well, you need to take time to learn the system. You cannot just say that, oh, it's my staff's problem. It is my admin person or my assistant or the paraplanner or whoever. I just want to see clients. You can't do that, because you are still like the business person. You are still the owner of that business, and you need to make sure that things work the way they should work. Yes, you need their input. Yes, you need to make sure that the system helps them do their jobs. But you can't just and now nothing is working for you because you didn't take the time to learn the system properly, all aspects of the system. So that for me is important. And then also in terms of implementing the system, that means taking hands with your software provider. So you've got to work together in order to implement the software appropriately, to do it properly, and to get input. Because remember, so you know your business very well, but the software providers are working with many businesses like yours and many businesses that are very different from yours. And they've seen a lot of things that work, and they've seen a lot of things that don't work. So they can offer so much value in your business by giving you input and giving you some advice, and to say, yes, that will work, but if you do it just this way, it may work even better. So you need to take hands with them. But that, again, it requires commitment, effort, and patience, because you have to take some time to chat to them and talk to them and engage with them, consult with them, to make sure that this is going to happen. So that is absolutely critical for any technology. That doesn't matter whether it's a phone system or whether it's a CRM or a planning system. Doesn't matter what it is that you are implementing. Those things are extremely important. Then the other thing is, so implementation means that, yes, you have your site, you can log in and all of that, and a basic setup of the site. Maybe put your clients on there, doing certain things like that. But then the next thing is customizing the system. And what I mean with customizing the system, it doesn't mean changing the code that was written for the program or getting things specifically developed for you. That is not what we're talking about here. So what we are talking about is that it is like you should make it your own. So you've got to make sure that your processes are on there, that all your documents are on there, that you build your own workflows, your own tasks, and those kind of things, so that you can manage your business effectively, that you set up the automation the way you want it, that you make sure that things go out when they need to go out, and that you can keep record of all of these things. So that's what I mean with customization, that you truly make that system your own. It's not merely having somebody putting your logo on the site, and that means now it's customized or white label or whatever. It's really a process to go through, and hopefully you can see by now that that's why I say it also requires patience, because you don't just implement the system today and then you just run off and work, because it's not drag and drop. it requires effort. You got to make it your own. And there's a responsibility on both the software provider and the FSP to make that happen. That is the biggest message that I want people to get, is that you have this responsibility to make this work. It is not somebody else's problem. It is your business, it's your practice, it is yours. So some of you may work for FSPs that tell you what to use. You can still use a lot of this to your benefit. You may not have say in which system they use or which system is being implemented, but you do have control over how you use it in your business in order to enable your practice. So there's a lot of these things that you can go away and think about, and then make sure that at the end of the day, you have full adoption, like full adoption of your software, so that you get the most out of it. And it doesn't mean, if I say full adoption, it means adopting everything from that system that can mean, or that brings a benefit to your practice and to your client. It does not necessarily mean that you have to use every single thing if you don't need it, but you should be using every single thing that you need to be using. And that is important. And again, you can only learn this stuff by talking to the software provider, by playing around with the system, by talking to your team. That's how you learn what is possible. And you need to start asking questions. I had some very interesting discussions in this year about things that people say, well, it can't be done, but it could be done. And it was done. So things also move along. I think one of the biggest mistakes we make is that we look at a system 5 years, we looked at it 5 years ago, and then it couldn't do it at that point. But everybody's moved on. All 4 the big software providers have done significant development. So there's a lot of new features, new technology, and things that are being used that are possible that wasn't possible 5 years ago. But we're still stuck in what wasn't possible. But we don't keep on asking, like, just the system that you're using. Like, are you consistently engaging with them and asking, like, can you do this? Can you do this? Can we do this? Or is there a workaround? And find a way to make it happen. Because most of these things today are possible from most of the software providers. So definitely something to consider. All right. So let me see. There's 3 more questions. Okay, Mel goes so true. Let's see. Kevin, CRM integrated with co-planning is the way to go. So I don't think any integration can be seamless. Well, into your business, I think it can. No integration maybe between 2 systems will be seamless. But luckily you say think, Nick, my friend. So yeah, it is possible, but it takes effort and time. It's not immediate. So I would say seamless is possible, but not immediately. Gareth, spot on, implementation is as much the user responsibility as it is the providers. Yeah, it's a partnership. If you ever saw a partnership in like really working, this is where it's at. Learn and understand the solution, integrate to business, think lean to limited duplication in process, absolutely. Goeiemorgen, Johan. Few things are so disappointing to a tech solution provider as a client who do not derive max value from their solution because, yes, and I think there's lots of reasons for this, Johan. I mean, this is a discussion on its own. Why not? But this is the thing, and I think there's things on both sides maybe that we all need to look at and say, like, how do we make sure that, one, they see the value, and secondly, that they can derive that value and partner with us. So all softwares want their clients to be successful on their platform, absolutely. Can't go half-half, all in. Yes, Charmaine, absolutely. All right, so then the next point, moving along swiftly, how to fully unlock the value offered by the chosen system. So there's a few things that you can do in order to unlock that full value, because again, it's almost like, I keep on thinking about Spider-Man, like this, with great power comes great responsibility, but the same with implementing technology, there's also great responsibility on both sides. So the first thing is that you need to know the system inside and out, what it can do and what it can't do. And the only way to do that is through consulting with a software provider, by playing with the system, by trying things, and by asking questions. That's it. It's not rocket science, but it's the time required to invest into this, because it's only going to pay dividends over and over and over. And there's not even going to be tax on those dividends, by the way, because this is going to be profit back into your business. So you will definitely benefit from that. Then the other thing I think that you should be doing is running all of your processes, or at least, I mean, I would say, okay, if you really want to go 20-80 or 80-20, like the 20% of your processes that you do 80% of the time, like those must absolutely run through the system. But ultimately, you should try and get all of your processes to go through the system. one of the biggest issues that we also see is that, where there's not a full adoption in the practice itself. And if I say we, I mean in Propulsion, like when I talk to financial advisors, you can see that, it's left up to the staff to decide whether they want to use the system or not. And some use it and some don't. But it can't work like that. It's either we use the system or we don't. And it's also to make those calls and make sure that when we run the processes through this, that it then is done by everybody that is on that system. And then the other big thing is to continuously engage with the software provider. It's extremely important. It's a partnership. There's obviously feedback and insights that you can give to the software provider, and also vice versa. So I think there's a big benefit in making sure that you have a great relationship with the software provider, be it with their account managers, be it with the person that sold you the solution, be it with their support. It doesn't matter, all areas of that software provider. Make sure that you have great relationships with them, because that's also what they all want. So make sure that you allow them to build those relationships with you, because they all have a lot of good insights to give you. So very important. Then lastly, I want to come to which system is best then. And this is obviously now where the tacky hits the road, or sometimes, I don't know, the Doc Martens or something. I don't know, like safety shoes, what do we need? So which system is best? Well, the answer is simply the one you currently have is absolutely the best system. You've chosen it for a reason, be it a year, 6 months, or 60 years ago. It doesn't really matter. But you need to understand that the system you have right now can do a lot. I've got a webinar where I talk about employing technology to enhance your business. And in there, one of the things that we touch on is we go through a lot of things that will be great to implement in your business. And then there's a part where I look at what can all the existing systems do already. And it's just like most people don't even know that the systems can do these things. And again, that's why you need to talk to your software provider, engage with them. And all the software providers that's on, it's like, you got to talk to clients, make sure that they know what they can and can't do. But there is this big responsibility on the users and the businesses that are employing this technology as well to do that. So the big thing here is that you need to spend the time and effort that we discussed earlier. And then if you find that the gap between what you need and what you have is just too big for you, or, I don't know, something went wrong with the relationship, or whatever that may be, and it's really unfixable, there is you feel like you have to change, well, then you start at the first thing where we started this morning to say, well, you need to do your due diligence, you need to go through a process, and you have to be patient, and you really have to consider everything. Yes, get the input from others, but you can't solely go on that. You have to do your own homework. There is no just one solution. It's what is the best solution for your business. So that's the best system. And then also, I've spoken about this in a lot of the episodes where we talk about technology, is that I believe that the future is a amalgamation or sort of more integration between different systems, which are the best of breed. There are some challenges with that in terms of how easy it is to integrate. Number one is a challenge. And secondly, the cost involved sometimes with that, because like one system, it's almost like buying insurance. When you only insure your car, it's a certain amount. When you add your home contents and your house and your blah, 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 then yes, your premium goes up, but your car insurance actually comes down. Because there's a lot of things being used in that system. So it works the same with most software providers, where the more you use with them, the cheaper it actually becomes per module or whatever it may be. But it's important to just think about that and to say, well, to understand that if you only use best of breed stuff, that's great. But again, if you see that cost as an investment, no problem, because it's making you a lot more than what you are spending on it to have it, and you know why you have it, and you know the function it's fulfilling, and it's working for you, and that's the most important part. So I do believe that we're moving more into that line, but that won't be for everybody again, because it comes at a cost. So a lot of people will say, well, what system will cover most of what I need, if not all, and then try and work with providers in order to get the systems to do the things that they do want to do. And also often the problem is that we're not happy with the system, but we also don't know exactly what we want. And hence why I said you've got to know your business, you've got to know what you want, and then take it from there. Cool beans, so live from Boschendal, I must say thank you to Boschendal, like now with level 3 lockdowns and all sorts of stuff, it, yeah, it was a story. They were so helpful in order to make sure that I could be at a proper internet connection and use this. I wanted to use a backdrop, but the problem was it's still dark. It's Cape Town, guys. So my plan of a beautiful backdrop just didn't happen. It's just one of those things. But anyway, so I'm very grateful to them for allowing me to do this here. And yeah, so cool. So let's quickly run through here. Mel says, my system is integrated into my entire practice. It embeds compliance processes to straight through invoicing. It can be seamless, just how to ask how to do it. Yes, well done, Mel. So that's awesome. In reality, choosing a system is choosing a business partner. Yep, absolutely. You should really go through a good process. Can't agree with you more. In my search for the one system that does everything, there is none. Thank you, Carol. Looking forward to the coffee soon. When I thought I found the one, unpopularity had me reconsider. I unfortunately had a clean slate to start with and started with a needs analysis of what I wanted. Yes, that is the place. Like, we do this every day for our clients. And saying, like, we need to do a needs analysis and I need to have a deep understanding, and I need to understand your behaviors and things, and there's all sorts of things that we do for clients, but when it comes to our businesses, we don't do that for our own businesses, and that is exactly what we should be doing. So cool beans. That's it for this morning. So thank you very much for joining me. Just maybe last word, if you haven't gotten your complimentary ticket for the conference that's taking place next week, the 23rd and 24th, you can still do so. You can just visit, where is this? There we go, propulsion.co.za/conference. All the details are there, the steps, the special code you need to use. And we've really had a huge uptake on this. So thank you very much. Appreciate it. And with that, from me here in Boschendal, have a good one. Stay safe. Have a braai this weekend. And I will see you back next week, same place, same time. Bye-bye.